Hello and welcome to another video. This is the 6th episode of the story in which Jiraiya and Tsunade are supposed to watch over Naruto, but instead Orochimaru takes care of him. How will this affect others as well as both of them? What will it mean for Konoha? This story was written by Brown Phantom. Kindly support him, her. Like and subscribe to help to support videos. Let's start this show. Kit, say hello to your mother, Kyuubi said. At hearing those words, Naruto froze up like any normal orphan would. It wasn't out of belief or disbelief or anything similar, but out of sheer surprise. My mother? Naruto said out loud without realizing it, making everyone, including the red-headed woman, give him their full attention. Your mother? Naruto-kun, what do you mean by that? Hinata asked before anyone else could. Kyuubi says, she's my mother. He added, still in shock. How would he know? Enko asked. Kit, don't have a meltdown here, but I can explain this for you. Kyuubi said to Naruto. Your mother was actually my host before you. So that's how you know her? Naruto asked. Yes. But unlike you, she and I never had the chance to make the bloodline deal, so I was trapped in her in a bad way. I think the seal on her was different, so I couldn't communicate with her like I do you. When you were born, the seal was at its weakest, so I took the chance to break free so I wouldn't die with her later on. I guess fate wasn't on our side because that piece of shit Madara Uchiha showed up and took control of my mind. I can't remember what happened after that, but I always figured your mother was dead. Why didn't you tell me this before? Naruto asked. When was I supposed to tell you? The timing never felt right. And if I did have the right chance, what was I supposed to say? Hey Kit, I knew your mother, but she's dead now as far as I know. Besides, I figured if those 3 guardians of yours wanted you to know about that night by now, they would have told you and then I would have too. But now it's unavoidable. Go ahead and tell the others what I told you. And if you don't believe me, ask her if her name is Kushina. Naruto knew the name for the same reason he knew the name Minato. Naruto sighed and faced his group. Kyuubi tells me that my mother was his last host, but he thought she died the day I was born. He then faced the woman who was his presumed mother, who had been looking solely at him this entire time. Is your name Kushina? Her eyes widened more and she tried to say, yes, but her voice box didn't cooperate, so she just nodded. Kushina Uzumaki? She tried again, and got a whisper out this time. That was my maiden name. My current name is Kushina Namikaze. That convinced Naruto better than anything else. No one else besides the Sannin, Enko, and Hinata knew his father was Minato Namikaze. Only his real mother would know this too. What was your child's name? He asked. I had a son. His name's Naruto, Kushina said as she tried to sit up, her atrophied muscles protesting. Forgetting any previous suspicion, Naruto helped her stay up. I can't believe this. How is this possible? Naruto-kun, are you sure this really is your mother? Isaribi asked. Kushina tried to look at Naruto again. Is your name Naruto? Her voice had gotten a little louder now. He nodded. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, son of Minato Namikaze and student to Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru. He used those names in hopes she would recognize them. It worked, for Kushina started crying. My son? But how? How long was I out? My guess is about 13 years if you haven't seen Naruto here since he was born. Kurenai answered. Kushina kept crying. 13 years? He tried to hold Naruto. My son. I'm so sorry. Wait, if she's been in a coma for 13 years straight, why'd she wake up now? Fu asked. I can answer that one for them, Kit. Kyuubi told Naruto. You see, in my time here I've noticed traces of other chakras in the seal keeping me in here. One I immediately recognized as your mother's, and I think the other one belongs to your father too. I think they were put in here as a sort of failsafe if the seal started weakening and you and I were on bad terms. When you and I helped increase her chakra levels, I pushed the bit of your mother's chakra in here went back into her body as well. And I think that combined with my own chakra, which her system is used to dealing with, helped jumpstart her back to consciousness. Wow, that's great. Naruto happily thought, then proceeded to tell everyone what the fox had told him almost word for word. So you really are my son? Kushina asked after hearing he had the Kyuubi in him. Her voice sounded at normal strength now. She then pulled him into a hug, which would have been bone-crushing if she were at full strength, which not even a former Jinchuriki could be right away after a 13-year coma. I'm so glad I can see you grown up now. You must tell me everything that's happened. Who raised you? How did you do in the academy? Do you have a girlfriend yet? Naruto patted her back. Settle down, Mom. You don't want a stroke, do you? Sorry, but I thought I lost you. I have so much catching up to do and I want to do it all right away. Well, I can tell you he does have a girlfriend if that helps. Hinata said. Leaning against Naruto for emphasis and trying to ignore the small glares she got from the other girls. Kushina smiled, then stopped. Wait, Naruto, why are you and all these girls wearing those hitayatesh? That's not the Konoha symbol. Naruto gulped then, dreading this. Well, Mom, it's kind of a long story. I can barely stand up. I've got time to listen. Kushina told him. Kushina-san, perhaps it would be better if I told you. Anko interjected. Why? Who are you? I'm Anko Mitarashi, your son's sensei and older sister. Kushina looked surprised. So your family took care of my son? Anko paused. Well, technically you're right, but not in the way you're thinking of. What do you mean? Kushina asked. Otuto, do you want me to handle this for you? Anko asked Naruto rather than answer the question. Maybe it would be best if you help me tell her. He told Anko. Anko nodded. Okay, let's get her into a tent. Too many people around will make us all uncomfortable for this. Kurenai-chan, can you keep everyone busy for the time being? Kurenai nodded. Okay, Haku, Fu, Sasami, patrol the area for any threats. You know what counts as threats. Isaribi, Hinata, check on Momochi-san in the other tent. Zabuza had been asleep then whole time Kushina was here. The Kunoichi nodded, and left to do their tasks, but not before Hinata managed to give Naruto a comforting kiss. Kushina smiled, and was carried into a tent by Naruto and Anko to hear of Naruto's past. Kakashi was keeping an eye on his two male students Sasuke and Kiba with his dog Akamaru, who were working on tree walking that night and reading his coveted smut at the same time. His female student Sakura was at the client's home doing domestic stuff to help out Tsunami, or so Kakashi assumed. While his two students were about to reach the top, a huge wave of Ki all of a sudden washed over the area, making them stumble, fall to the ground, and piss themselves. Kakashi even dropped his porn book and almost wet himself as he lost his balance on his crutches and fell down like his students. Holy crap. I haven't felt Ki like that in 13 years. What the hell was that? Kiba asked with Akamaru whimpering and trying to hide in his jacket. I don't know. The cycloptic Jounin answered. It reminds me of the Kyuubi, except angrier. At the same time, one of Naruto's clones, which had been taking to Inari about their pasts together and trying to show the boy others have rough times too, felt the Ki as well and instinctively dispelled to avoid being caught by the perceived threat. Inari wondered what was going on, but also kept the clone's words in mind and spent the rest of the night thinking it over. Back in Konoha, Danzu was not happy. Care to repeat that? he said to the monitor he was observing in his residence. On the screen was one of his root ninja, currently away on assignment. I'm sorry Danzo-sama, but our station in Wave has been destroyed and the prisoner has yet to be found. It's probable they drowned, as I've heard no word from Ukishi or Tsurigi. Danzo stomped his cane into the floor. Damn it. All these years of trying to revive our rightful weapon wasted. Do you have any idea who's responsible for this? Unfortunately no Danzo-sama. The distress beacon informed us of the damage being done in the base but we have yet to find any evidence of the culprit. With Ukishi and Tsurigi who were watching the base and prisoner at the time unaccounted for, I'm fairly certain they're dead and at the hand of a competent ninja used to watery terrain. So Kiri is the most likely culprit? Danzo asked. His agent nodded. Is it possible that whoever did this took off with the prisoner? I suppose it is, sir, but why would they do that? Surely you're the only one who knows that she's even still alive or what exactly she is. The root nin replied. Perhaps there has been a leak. After all, how did this threat even know to look for a ninja base underwater in the first place? The agent nodded. I see your point, Danzo-sama. My partner and I will see if we can locate the prisoner and bring her back to you. But not directly to Konoha. We don't want that soft idiot Sarutobi to see her. Report back to me upon further discovery. Dismissed. Danzo ordered before turning off the monitor. The semi-crippled war hawk then stood up and sighed. Damn it all. It was nothing less than a stroke of luck that I found that bitch unconscious instead of dead and got her body hidden before anyone else could confirm it. For years I've been trying to get that Jinchuriki to revive so I could seal her and get her under my control like that demon brat should have been a decade ago. Sarutobi, if I didn't know better I'd swear you were interfering yet again. Before he walked away he said only one thing out loud. Nidame, why did you choose Sarutobi over me? Before Naruto and Enko told Kushina everything there was she tried to storm out of the tent and find someone to kill in a horrible way. The only things that stopped her were her son's pleas to wait and the fact her body had yet to recover. Thanks to the chakra Kyubi had given her, her body was quickly returning to normal, but she would need to work out a bit before she was ready to do much with it again. By the time the two were done, Kushina still wanted to kill some people from Konoha. After they finished, Kushina held Naruto maternally and began to tell him how her own life. How she got to Konoha and why the Kyubi was put in her. Her own dream of being the first female Hokage, and her growing connection to Minato. And especially what happened the day he was born. Naruto interrupted her only once to ask one question. Wait, you said the Kyubi's claw pierced you, so how did you survive? Kushina thought it over. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. Your father took a good amount of the hit too so I wasn't as hurt, but I don't think that's the real reason. Kyubi added in his own opinion. Kit, I think when I left her, some of my chakra must have remained in her system. How else would she be so mobile after giving birth and having half of her chakra suddenly gone in an instant? Maybe after I pierced her, the remaining bit healed her wound and afterwards the loss of so much chakra sort of shocked her system into a coma until it could stabilize. Naruto repeated this theory out loud. Enko nodded. Yes, I can see that happening. Kushina tightened her hold on her son. Naruto, Kyubi, thank you. I swear I'll never leave you again. So you're okay with going to Oto when this mission's done? He asked to confirm his suspicions. Where else would I go? Kushina asked. Yuzu's gone and if I go to Konoha I'm not leaving until everyone who deserves to die does. Enko pulled out some paper and started writing something down. In that case I better inform Otokichi-sama of your arrival. Once she finished writing about Kushina's presence and a gist of her history, she summoned Kogayaku. Please take this to Ji-san, and if you can, bring any messages from him to us. Will do, Enko-san. the purple snake said before taking the message in her mouth and disappearing. I bet his return message will be quite colorful. Anko muttered non-irritably. Back in Oto, Orochimaru got the message just before he was about to get a shower. He read it, and called for the altos. Bring me Tsunade and Jiraiya right now. They came to him. In less than a minute, and he showed them the message from Anko. Tsunade was the first to respond. What the fuck? How is this possible? Jiraiya added. I don't know, but it looks like Konoha has more to answer for than we thought. Orochimaru said hostilely. How much worse do you think it can get? Jiraiya asked. I'm afraid to find out, and yet I'm afraid we will find out. Tsunade answered wearily. The next morning everyone in the Oto group woke up practically simultaneously and stretched out in the open. Kushina woke up a little sooner and got a head start on the stretching, her body still not fully cooperative. Kurenai got started on preparing them some food that Zabuza had previously collected for them. Anko gathered all the genin and made sure her fellow jounin could hear this as well. Already everyone, last night I sent Otokage-sama a report with information on our new discovery, no offense Kushina-san. None taken. The redhead replied while starting some push-ups. Anyway, I got a message back from him and his top advisors. The decision was apparently mutual. From now on, we are no longer ordered to hold back and avoid as much conflict as possible with any Konoha forces. We don't have to work at trying to avoid a possible international incident anymore. Still, this should not mean we need to rush into a fight looking for blood. It's just now if they attack us we have every right to fight back with lethal intent rather. So I don't want to see you guys heading to the Konoha team with any malicious ideas, just yet anyway. Anko continued. Why? Naruto asked. Well, given the circumstances your mother told us, combined with what we already know about them, wanting to hurt Konoha will be more justifiable now. Anko answered. However, in the long run doing it right now will have minimal effect but it could still spark a war if Konoha felt vengeful enough. Oto's only advantages now are our allies and our unknown location. But Konoha has 3 clans specializing in tracking, so we can't remain hidden forever if they try to find us. And Jiraiya-sama would be asked by the Hokage to search as well, which will put him in an awkward position. Sure, he can fake no results for a while, but sooner or later someone will suspect something. If Oto was caught off guard, we'd be able to put up a good fight, but in the end we'd lose because we lack the numbers Konoha has. Kurenai told them. If they sent a lot after they find it that is. Which they might. If they didn't, then we'd have the numbers and home turf advantage, which Konoha might not risk fighting against. In any case, the best option Oto would have is to strike Konoha as a whole when they least suspect it. Zabuza added. But wouldn't that give them an even bigger numbers advantage? And the home turf one too? Naruto asked. If we included our allies, the odds increase in our favor. Besides, never underestimate the value of the element of surprise. It's part of what makes my method so effective. Zabuza answered. Excuse me, but why exactly are we talking like we've already decided to assault Konoha? Fu asked, raising her hand to get everyone's attention. Anko sighed and crossed her arms. To be honest, that was actually decided a long time ago. Before you even set foot in Oto Girl. Kurenai approached her student. Remember Fu, Oto was founded as a haven for ninja that were mistreated in their original villages. Konoha and Kiri especially. It's always been suspected that someday Oto would have to make a direct stand against one or both of those two. And Konoha is the more likely because the Sannin know it best and it's easier to get there for us and our allies than Kiri is. We're not saying we're hoping for a war. We just want you all to be aware it may happen within your lifetime, and with the info that Kushina-san here has given us, it might come sooner than expected. Anko clarified. In any case, let's forget about that for a while and get back to training in our jobs. I'll pay our client a visit when the time's right to discuss something with them, and you guys should search around for more threats. Otuto, you stay with your mother in case anyone comes looking for her. Everyone nodded, and left to do their duties, leaving Naruto with his estranged mother at their campsite. He soon joined her in her exercises and they made small talk about nothing in particular. After a little bit, he created 2 shadow clones and they went off separately into the forest. Anko kept a close eye on Tsunami's house, waiting for a moment when none of the Konoha shinobi were there. From what she could tell, none of them were there, but she was still careful about approaching. She jumped from a tree branch and landed on the ground, only to hear a thump follow her and instinctively turned ready to maim. Luckily she didn't succeed. Otuto? What are you doing here? Actually, I'm a clone. The real Naruto sent me because another clone last night was tailing to the client's kid and didn't get to finish. He wanted to know if the kid thought about what he told him. Anko raised an eyebrow. And what exactly did he tell the young boy? That he shouldn't go around acting like he's the only one, life's been rough too. He only lost his father, but that's it. Some people out there lost both parents like you or never knew their own, like the boss. So he should get off his self-pity trip and stop assuming he's the only one who's ever wanted to cry. Good advice. Let's see if he took it. Anko told the clone. It's actually a good idea. A clone came along. If something does happen to me, the real Otuto will know and respond right away. Naruto already knew the fact that shadow clone memories returned to him when they dispelled. The 2 silently got to the house, hoping to draw no attention to themselves. So far so good. Anko knocked on the door in hopes that Tsunami would be the one to answer it. She wanted to tell the woman that so far they already weakened the threat. She hired them to investigate and if possible get some more information from her on the threat. No one answered, and Anko got suspicious. The Naruto clone was about to knock a second time, but she caught his hand and shook her head disapprovingly. Something must be wrong. Use your Niobe-Akugen. The clone activated the Dojutsu, and quickly paled. Without bothering to explain anything, he kicked down the door with a chakra-enhanced kick and charged inside. Anko wondered what his problem was until she looked inside. There she saw Tsunami being held by one man dressed mostly in black with a hand over her mouth and the other across her stomach, making her his prisoner. She rushed inside too to help out the clone of his little brother. The Naruto clone tried to use the Juken lessons Naruto got from Hitomi to use with the Niobe-Akugen to disable his target. With said target's arms occupied, he couldn't defend himself properly, so he used a Kawarimi to get away. I'll check outside. He told Anko before going out. Anko looked over the older woman. You okay? Tsunami nodded. Hurry, one went upstairs. I think my son's in danger. The Jounin rushed upstairs and saw there was a second black-clocked shinobi tried to hold down the young boy. Inari was protesting his capture but not doing an effective job at it. Striking shadow snakes. She cried as half a dozen small summoned snakes emerged from her sleeves to entangle the enemy. These particular snakes combined the attributes of constrictors and venomous snakes, so it was virtually impossible to defend against them once they got to their prey. They wrapped around the limbs and neck of the enemy and simultaneously bit down on an exposed body part. The unidentified man convulsed in pain and tried to get them off, giving Inari the chance to scuttle away towards his rescuer. While the black-clad shinobi tried to pull out a weapon to kill the young boy, Anko pulled out a kunai and rushed forward, managing to cut the man's neck open. Once she did, the whole body turned to mud and collapsed on the floor of the hallway. Damn, a clone. Anko mumbled irritably and the summoned snakes went away. Then she looked at Inari. Your mother's downstairs and safe. Go console her while I check for more threats. He nodded. Thanks. I'm sorry if I was rude to you guys before. I just save it for when we can relax. Enko told him before jumping out the window. Inari then went downstairs to reassure Tsunade he was okay. Once outside, Enko saw the other enemy ninja but not the clone of Naruto, meaning it had been dispelled. On the plus side, the enemy was down panting and looked unable to move as much as he wanted to. She recognized it as Juken damage and casually approached. So are you a clone too, or are you the real one? The downed man barely lifted his head. He was obviously in pain, but his face didn't show it. You have something that belongs to my master. And you are interfering with his client's plans. So you work for Gato, eh? Enko said with a devilish smirk. I work for the man behind Gato, who is but a pawn for my master's plan here. Enko lost the smirk. Wait a minute. Gato, the man who's running this country into the ground, is doing someone else's bidding? She leaned in closer, but not too close, to look more intimidating. Tell me what you know if you want to rest in one piece. Never. Her captive answered before decaying into mud like the last guy. Damn. Obviously a mud clone that just ran out of chakra. But where are the real ones? She asked herself. And more importantly, who's behind all this here? Then Naruto, the real one, came from out of the trees. Nechan. Everything okay? Yeah, problem solved. But they were just clones. The real ones are probably up to something worse. She answered. I sent a clone with Hina-chan and the others too. Maybe they're at the bridge right now. He told her. Then let's get going. By the way, everything should be fine here, but leave some more clones just in case. She told him. Gotcha. Naruto said before creating 20 clones to safeguard the house. Then Enko and the original headed off towards the unfinished bridge. By the way, where's Kushina-san going to be in all of this? Enko asked. Where she is now, since she can't fight just yet. And I left some clones with her too in case anyone finds her. Naruto answered. Probably the best idea. Enko said. On the bridge things weren't going so well. The Konoha team had gotten there first with the intent of protecting Tazuna, as was their job. They didn't have to wait long, as two new ninja took the opportunity to leave their hiding spot under the bridge and try to attack the unaware genin. Kakashi moved quickly and blocked them, but they pulled back before he could do any distance to them. The two new ninja were dressed identically in black jounin outfits, sans vest, with mesh covering the ankles and forearms. One had short black hair brushed back and wore red gloves, while the other had dark brown hair that looked similar to Naruto's and wore dark blue fingerless gloves. Both had a ninjato at their hips, but neither were drawn yet, and neither seemed to be showing any expression, even for a professional shinobi. Sakura took an immediate guarding position by Tazuna with a single kunai in her hand. Kiba cracked his knuckles with Akamaru on the bridge, growling. And Sasuke just gave the newcomers a deadpan look, as if to say they weren't worth the effort to look tough. Kakashi stood before all of his students ready to handle this. I wonder if they're connected to Zabuza Momochi or the demon brothers from earlier. The brown-haired Nin rushed towards Kakashi much like how Guy would have. Kakashi threw a few shuriken, but his target just deflected them as if they were origami instead of metal. The cycloptic ninja managed to at least block a kick from this guy, but it felt pretty strong and stung his arm. Luckily, sparring with Guy for years helped raise his endurance. Meanwhile, the black-haired ninja started a set of hand signs. Fire style, fireball jutsu. He then spat out a large blame of flame at Kakashi. His ally got out of the way, but so did his target. Now Sasuke looked mad, since he didn't like the idea of others using his techniques. He charged forward angrily to give this guy a taste of his own fireball, but he was noticed, so both prepared one at the same time. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Both cried out at the same time, with both fireballs impacting each other. However, the other guy was stronger and more experienced, so he could make a stronger one than Sasuke could, so the genin's attack was overwhelmed. At least his attack prevented him from getting hurt by the other one. But once the smoke cleared, he felt several kunai hit his arms and legs, making him fall to his knees in agony. Kiba got anxious and decided to contribute to the fight as well. Fong over Fong. He shouted as he and Akamaru spun around, creating drilling cyclones to maximize damage to their enemy. They both tried to hit the one attacking Kakashi, but he proved too nimble for them to hit right away, and Kiba ended up going over the bridge and into the water. Akamaru stopped the attack and jumped in to try and help him. "Kiba, you idiot," Kakashi dryly thought. "Fong over Fong only works like that when you have enough room and ground for it to. Which you don't have on an incomplete bridge." He couldn't go help his student as the enemy shinobi wasn't giving him an opening yet. "Tazuna-san, we should try to get you out of here. All the others have, so should you," Sakura told the old man. "That's not such a bad idea," Tazuna said fearfully. Once he and the Pinkette turned around, they saw the black-haired ninja stand before them, having moved to them after downing Sasuke. "Who said you can go anywhere?" Sakura wanted to attack him for daring to hurt Sasuke, but if he couldn't make a scratch, her own chances weren't good and she knew it. So all she could do was hope someone could help her in time. Someone did, but it wasn't one of her team members. Mist suddenly condensed around the area, making it difficult to see a thing. Then it got cold, as if winter just started. The black-haired ninja moved to get away from an attack Sakura didn't see, but she could see that the ground he had been standing on was now frozen. What is going on now? She asked herself. The mist condensed and spread across the bridge, like something out of a horror novel. It moved as if it was alive, present to engulf whoever was in its way. And it was accompanied by an unseasonal chill, that froze the moisture in the air into small bits of frost that clinged to everything around it. The genin on the bridge wondered for a moment if this was a natural phenomenon of the area, but the others had no doubts as to its nature. The two enemies of the Leaf Ninja got together and stood back to back, keeping their eyes open for anything or anyone that may soon appear. Kakashi quickly got to Sasuke and pulled him over to Sakura and Tazuna. He wanted to go get Kiba too, but didn't want to leave his other students unguarded against an unidentified threat. "Be on your guard. Someone else has just shown up, and they're probably not alive. Heart, brain, jugular, lung, aorta, kidney, spinal column. These are just some of the locations on the human body where one attack can be deadly." A ghastly sinister voice almost whispered over the entire area, loud enough to be heard by all but not so loud that it felt like it was shouting. Sakura was shaking in fear. What was that? She looked to Sasuke in hopes of reassurance, but saw he was no more certain than she was. Meanwhile, Kiba and Akamsaru had gotten back up on the bridge. "Whoa, where'd all this come from now?" "Kiba, quiet down. Don't let anyone hear where you are," Kakashi whispered into the intercom link he had with his students. "Yeah, Baka. Don't make any noise," Sakura shouted to her teammate after hearing Kakashi's orders. Everyone there gave her disapproving deadpan looks. "You clueless idiot," Sasuke groaned. Sakura looked hurt. "Sasuke-kun? Why did you say that?" "I'm no idiot." "Then why do you keep talking?" was a shared thought between Sasuke, Kakashi, Tazuna, and Kiba. Kiba and Akamaru tried to sniff out any sense in the fog and hear any footsteps approaching. Kakashi was tempted to summon some dogs, but he didn't want to risk revealing his position any more than his kunoichi student already had. Meanwhile, the two unidentified shinobi were trying to form a battle plan. "Hey, Ajiro, can you get rid of this mist?" The brown-haired one asked the black-haired one, since his partner specialized in ninjutsu while he himself was the taijutsu expert of the two. The man dubbed a gyro shook his head. Sorry Hattori, I don't know any wind-style tactics. But maybe I can do something. He then went through 6 hand signs. Fire style, sauna steam jutsu. From his mouth burst forth a long stream of hot air that evaporated most of the water in the atmosphere, making the fog significantly lighter and easier to see through. Once the fog died down, everyone could see someone new crouched and waiting. It was a tall slender man in a white tank top with his face obscured by wrappings. His hair was black and his eyes were a dark purple with no eyebrows. On his back was a large black sword shaped much like a large long cleaver with a hole in it. The Konoha team recognized him right away as Zabuza Momochi. He's back. Is he working for Gato on rotors to get rid of Tazuna? I gotta stop him for sure this time. Kakashi said to himself. Zabuza himself didn't appear to do much except stand up and brandish his sword. He was daring someone else to make the first strike. Since no one appeared to be in a rush to challenge him, Kiba took the lead. If everyone else is going to be a coward, then I'll show you who's the bravest. Fong over Fong. This time Akamaru stayed out of it. Zabuza stepped out of the way of the human drill, but fortunately for Kiba this time he landed on the bridge rather than the water, so he continued his attack only to miss again. But when Zabuza dodged, the shinobi called Hattori managed to assault him from behind with a few good solid punches. The swordsman responded by turning and trying to cleave his arms, but the taijutsu user was more nimble and got out of reach. Kakashi decided to get involved now that Zabuza was occupied. Stay guarding the client and keep an eye out for any assistance the enemy may have, he told his students. Sasuke scoffed. Heh, I'm not staying out of the fight while Dog Boy gets to be in it. He then charged forward ready to maim someone. Sakura remained in her position however. Before Sasuke could get into the fight, someone new appeared from out of nowhere in front of him. This person was the same masked hunter Nin who took Zabuza away last time they saw him. It was hard for Sasuke to tell if they were a boy or girl, but he didn't care. A target was a target. You have no chance of defeating an elite like myself, the Uchiha proclaimed. Prove it, Haku said, completely unintimidated. Sasuke tried to prove it by ambushing her, thinking she couldn't react in time. But she did, and by doing some kept both of his hands occupied with one of her own. Big mistake, boy. I can still retaliate. She then started a series of one-handed hand signs. Ice and Bon Jutsu. Hundreds of needles made of ice formed in the air and flew to Sasuke, turning him into a human pincushion. He fell to his knees and used his chakra to warm himself to avoid frostbite and melt the ice weapons. While doing so, Haku prepared another jutsu. Ice style, crystal ice mirrors. A dome of connected mirrors with small gaps in between them covered the Uchiha, and Haku stepped inside one of them. Thanks to the dimensional rift the jutsu provided its user. There's no escape from it, prison. But don't just take my word for it. See for yourself. She proceeded to throw numerous ice and bon at him from all directions thanks to the enhanced speed this jutsu provided as well. Zabuza had his hands full, but saw his adoptive daughter was doing just fine. Atta girl Haku. I wonder what's keeping the others. It was easy for him to block against Hattori's attacks, but Kakashi proved to be as strong an annoyance as last time. At least Kakashi and Hattori were fighting each other as well, so he wasn't the only target they both had in mind. Kiba was being kept busy by a gyro. He stopped using Fong over Fong, but now he and his dog were using beast mimicry and man-beast clone to fight. A gyro made it difficult for them to get close enough to fight with his fire jutsus, but they also proved difficult to hit. Sasuke was getting his ass handed to him by Haku, and even his fire jutsus weren't helping him out as much as he thought they would. Apparently ice jutsus didn't use normal ice, so they couldn't be melted that easily. As the barrage of needles came, which slowed him down more and more but did little to actually threaten his life, he felt a new kind of pain, in the back of his eyes. It grew until his sight briefly went black, as if he had stood up too fast. Then his vision returned, and it was sharper than before. He didn't have a mirror, but he knew what happened. He had activated his Sharingan at last. Now I can't possibly lose. Not that losing was ever an option for me in the first place. Sasuke said. Ooh, so your eyes changed color. Big deal. I know another who can do the same and his eyes are much better to look at. Haku said, trying hard to conceal any interest in her voice. Sasuke frowned. You dare mock the invincible Sharingan? Yes I do, because how is seeing things better going to help you here? They won't help you at all if I manage to blind you. Sasuke glared but got an idea. Haku readied another wave of Senbon, but before they made contact, Sasuke made a substitution with Sakura, as she was the closest person there. So the Pinkette took the attack meant for him, and since she didn't spend much time training physically, she couldn't withstand the pain as well as Sasuke did and collapsed and cried. Using a teammate to save his own skin? No wonder Naruto-kun and the others don't trust those from Konoha. Haku thought. Sasuke stood outside the dome and readied his attack. Fire style, fireball jutsu. He presumed the defense was weaker on the outside since it seemed designed to target those on the inside. It made contact and the whole thing shattered, making him feel proud of himself, for once based on his accomplishments than his arrogance. His smile disappeared when he saw Haku stand before him next to the hurt Sakura. Give up. I found your weakness so you can't possibly win. You found nothing. You didn't destroy my dome, I got rid of it myself. Had I not, you would have endangered your teammate further. And I was taught deliberately endangering one's own comrade is a grave ninja crime. She should be honored that for once she was of use to me. Now she can die happy. Sasuke said. Dear Kami-man, you could at least pretend you're bothered by what you did to her. Sasuke scoffed. Why should I? Under her mask, Haku glared back. Okay, this guy needs to be taught several lessons in humility. Back with the others, Zabuza and Kakashi were the only ones fighting in their battle. Hattori had been killed when Kakashi managed to sneak up behind him and cut the back of his throat with a kunai, then pierced his right lung for good measure. So now the two jounins from Konoha and Oto were squared off. Zabuza strengthened the hidden mist jutsu but Kakashi summoned his dogs to locate the former Kiri shinobi. Kiba and Akamaru collapsed after taking a hit from a gyro. They were still alive but now immobile. He stood above them ready to carve their bodies to pieces, but then found he himself could not move. A tree appeared from out of nowhere behind him and the branches moved to hold him in place. He tried to make the hand signs for another fire jutsu but the smaller branches held his hands in place and were too strong to just break. As he struggled, a woman came out of the tree and stabbed him in the heart with a kunai, then twisted it around to get in deeper. No one heard his cries of pain before he died, but Kakashi did see it happen. Zabuza found himself trapped by Kakashi's summons, and Kakashi readied his Chidori to finish the man now that he couldn't move. Zabuza was both impressed and terrified of the lightning blade. Kakashi ran up to him, ready to pierce him through his upper torso and destroy some vital organs in the process. But before he could make contact, a bunch of shuriken came from his left side that were low enough to damage his legs. And since he was running with an active Chidori, he couldn't just stop or change direction, or for that matter concentrate hard enough to avoid the weapons while he moved. So his ankles got one shuriken in them each, making him fall on his face and his Chidori damaging only the stones it landed on. Zabuza took the chance to pull one kunai out of his pocket and attack the dog he could reach with it. It got away, but that freed his arm to attack more and thus he soon became completely mobile again. Two of the dogs tried to repin him but he gave them some deep cuts on their front legs, making them whimper. Then he grabbed his sword and no dog made an effort to try again. Sasuke was trying to kill Haku, who proved to be unwilling to cooperate with his wishes. His Sharingan wasn't at full strength yet, having just been activated, so he couldn't see her future movements or knowingly mimic the ones he did see. Haku, well aware of some of what the Sharingan can do thanks to Naruto's own version, showed no specific taijutsu and used only her Kekkai Genkai for offense and defense since he couldn't copy that. It was all frustrating the Uchiha since victory wasn't coming as naturally to him as he assumed it would. Kakashi pulled out the shuriken and got back on his feet. He saw Zabuza was standing too, but now there was a young girl with long orange hair standing next to him with a katana out and ready to be used. On this girl he could make out the symbol on the Hitayate was a music note, a mark he didn't recognize, and only now noticed was on Zabuza's Hitayate as well. I guess after leaving Kiri he became part of a new village or group. But I've never heard of one with that emblem. Thanks for saving my ass, Sasami-san. Zabuza told the girl. No sweat, and Gato should be here any second. It'll all be over soon. Kakashi wondered what she meant, but didn't ask anything. The claim that the man who wanted his client dead was coming made him decide to postpone any attempt to kill Zabuza now. Sasuke didn't hear that, and even if he did, it was likely he wouldn't have made the same decision. The problem was that Haku was starting to run low on energy and couldn't keep this up for much longer. She would have to either escape or start using movements that could be copied and maybe anticipated. She stopped to catch her breath, but Sasuke threw one of his large collapsible shuriken at her. The one of the metal support beams of the bridge bent to intercept it, making both Sasuke and Haku blink in confusion. Naruto stepped out of the fog and approached Haku. You okay, Haku-chan? She blushed brightly. I am now that you're here. Who the hell are you? Sasuke demanded. Naruto gave him a confident look. Someone who's going to be equal to a Kage someday. That's all you need to know. Who the hell are you? Sasuke demanded. Naruto gave him a confident look. Someone who's going to be equal to a Kage someday. That's all you need to know. Sasuke looked unimpressed. Whatever. You are not an Uchiha, therefore you are nobody. Whoa, check out the ego on this guy. Naruto thought. I'd love to chat with you on how wrong you are, but I've got a job to do. He then lifted Haku up bridal style, making her blush and feel a little turned on, and then took her away from the area. Sasuke glared. Sasuke-kun, aren't you going to help me get someplace safe? Sakura asked as she tried to get closer to him, hoping he'd do for her what Naruto did for Haku. No one's trying to hurt you, so there's no point. Leave me alone so I can show my strength. He then left her to go try and kill Zabuza from behind, but Sasami blocked him. I'll help you up. Tazuna said as he lifted Sakura back on her feet and led her away from the area. I just hope they don't damage the bridge too much. What's that? Sakura asked as she heard many footsteps approach them. She and Tazuna tried to get a good look, but the fog wasn't making it easy. Back with the others, Naruto got to Zabuza and Sasami. Everything holding up? Yeah, we did our part. Now we just need the target to show up. Sasami told him. Kurenai then shoe-shined next to the other Otonin. Everyone's in place. Time to finish the job. Who the hell are all you people? Kakashi asked. Everyone gave him flat looks, but Kurenai responded for them. The sound works best in silence. This was a coded message for them to both confuse their enemies and inform their allies of their origins, from back when they didn't wear Hitayatesh on the job. What? What does that mean? Kakashi asked. It's exactly what it sounds like. The Kunoichi told him, if for nothing else then to shut him up about it for now. Zabuza-san, clear the mist a little but not too much. We still need it for a bit longer. Gotcha. He said, then weaken the mist surrounding the place. Now it was easier to see, but the overall bridge and surrounding area was still obscured from view. Now that it had been reduced, it was easier to see a silhouette in the fog away from them all. This cleared even more, and Gato was revealed to be standing there with several hired goons behind him. Naruto looked bothered. That's the guy? I was expecting someone, well, taller at least. The dwarf looked ticked at hearing that. Watch what you say, brat. I'm a very powerful man with more money and connections than some daimyos. Trying to compensate for something then? Naruto asked, making Sasami laugh a little. You think you and your ninja are so tough just because you got rid of those 2 lackeys my partner gave me? They were disposable from the beginning and meant to do a different job. The people with me now, however, are meant to do away with punks like yourself. Gato told the blonde ninja. None of the Oto Nin looked intimidated or impressed. You don't really think a bunch of brawlers can defeat a group of training shinobi, do you? Gato snapped his fingers instead of answering. He expected his hired help to charge forth and eradicate the nuisances, but they didn't move. Did you not hear me? Get rid of them. Again they remained still. What's the matter with you all? I said. He tried to grab the shirt of one of the goons, only for it to go through the fabric instead of grab it. What the hell? Kurenai smirked. Genjutsu release. Suddenly the mob of men with weapons vanished to reveal Hinata, Isaribi, and Fu in their place. You didn't have a clue, did you? While you were busy watching the fight on the bridge, we eliminated your squadron in silent secrecy and replaced them with an illusion. They used a silence barrier over the group of thugs but not Gato, so they eliminated them quickly and used a genjutsu to keep the greedy midget unaware. Gato was terrified. How? Wait, if you spare me, I'll make you incredibly wealthy. Sorry, that's not in the job description. Fu told him. Sasuke tried to kill the short business tycoon while his back was turned, but Kurenai stuck out her leg at exactly the right moment and he tripped. Kakashi, angered by this, faced the red-eyed woman. This man is my target, so leave me and my team to our job and apologize for what you've done. Kurenai appeared to think it over. No. She then formed the tiger hand sign. From behind Kakashi a beam of steel rose and wrapped itself around him. Nice try, but I saw your genjutsu trick on that other guy. Release. He tried to dispel it, but the beam wouldn't go away. Release. He repeated, only to get the same results. Kurenai smiled and stepped closer. Who said this was a genjutsu? Naruto then stood next to her. I'm the one who's got you trapped. She was faking a genjutsu just then. He then turned to face Kurenai. Want me to add anything, sensei? Wait, I get the feeling I should know that kid, but from where? Kakashi asked himself as he struggled to get free of the metal trap. No, just help the girls make sure that other man dies. Kurenai told him. Naruto tried to, but Sasuke grabbed his shoulder quite aggressively. Back down, loser. I'm an Uchiha and I say I'm the one who's more fit for that task. I don't recall asking for your permission, and I do recall you already mentioning your name, so why mention it again? Do you think everyone's so stupid compared to you that you have to remind them all the time who you are? Naruto said mockingly. Shut up. You will respect me. Sasuke declared. Naruto just turned around and kicked the emo in the nuts. Will you settle for that instead? He left to help the girls rather than hear any attempt at an answer. Hinata, Isaribi, and Fu surrounded Gato in a triangle formation, looking very intimidating. Naruto showed up and stood between his teammates. Any last words? What do you want? I'll pay anything. He pleaded. Naruto shrugged. What I want you can't give me. Same for us. The three girls said together. Naruto then made 3 hand signs. Metal style, piercing serpent rod jutsu. From out of the bridgework came 4 metal rods that stayed rooted in the bridge but moved like octopus tentacles and seemed to elongate as they moved. At the ends of each were arrowheads, and all 4 thrust themselves into the limbs of Gato, hurting him greatly but not killing him. That kid has a metal-based Kekii Genkai? Kakashi asked. Gato was frightened, but only then noticed that they had yet to move from their positions. What are you waiting for? Enko showed up and pointed behind herself. Them. Zabuza cleared the mist completely and everyone could see all the inhabitants of the town gathered together on the bridge carrying various tools and weapons. Among them was Tazuna and his family. I figured these people deserve to settle justice with you their own way. And if they don't want to kill you, we will. Enko added. Zabuza waved his hand from the villagers towards Gato. Do as you wish. No one would ever really know who really killed Gato and destroyed his body that day, but one thing for certain was that it wasn't a ninja of Konoha. By the time Kakashi was able to see the business tyrant again, his body looked like a doll that had been played with for too long and too reckless without repairs, with the head missing as well. Afterwards, he noticed the Otonin had disappeared and the townspeople were celebrating their regained freedom. Who the hell does that jerk think he is? Sasuke said bitterly as the Konoha team headed back to Tazuna's house for the night along with the old man, who was drunk from the party with the locals and his crew. You're not too hurt, are you, Sasuke-kun? Sakura asked, apparently having completely forgiven him for endangering her before for whatever reason she had. He didn't answer her though, making her worry. Why you care? He used ya to save his own hide, girl. Tazuna said with a drunk slur. Sakura glared at him fiercely, but in his state of mind it had no effect. Kakashi walked on in thoughtful silence, trying to make sense of the new shinobi that had shown up. All he could best conclude was that someone else in Wave saw fit to hire ninja protection too but used someone else for the job. The questions now were who did it, where did the ninja come from, and should he worry about them? They approached the house, and Kakashi immediately noticed the lights were on and there was more noise inside than should be expected from just Tsunami and Inari, who had to go back home to his mom rather than stay partying with his grandfather. Maybe she's got guests. Tazuna is a popular guy and now that people can work on his bridge without fear. He opened the door, and his eye widened considerably at seeing the Otonin inside the house with Tsunami and Inari having a good time. They were clearing partying and not causing trouble. The radio and drinks in everyone's hands were evident enough to anyone bothering to notice those details. Too bad Genin usually didn't. Hey, what the hell is going on here? Kiba asked, flexing his claws and baring his fangs in anticipation of a fight. All the Otonin looked at the Konoha team. Naruto was on the couch surrounded by Hinata and Isaribi on both sides, them getting to him first by virtue of being teammates. Enko, Kurenai, Tsunami, and Kushina were over by the table while Zabuza was getting a drink from the fridge. Haku and Fu were eating while Sasami was keeping the music selection. Damn, is the party over already? Naruto asked. You better have a good explanation. For Kakashi started to demand, but stopped the moment he felt a sudden wave of killing intent impose on him. You! The red-headed woman of the group said with lethal hostility. She tried to storm up to the cycloptic Jounin, but Enko, Kurenai, and Tsunami held her back. Only their numbers and the fact that she wasn't at full strength yet made them succeed. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't rip out this guy's eye and shove it up his ass so he can watch me kick the crap out of him. Believe me, Kushina-san, I want that as much as you do, but we shouldn't just charge into a fight with them. Not yet anyway. Enko told the enraged woman. Why the fuck not? Kushina shouted as she continued to struggle. Kakashi looked like he had seen a ghost. Kushina-san? He asked, finally recognizing her. The former resident of Whirlpool glared at the Konoha Jounin with so much rage one would swear her hair would burst into flames. Hello Kakashi, long time no see. Her voice held no merriment, only menace. It can't be you. You're supposed to be dead. The last Hatake countered. You have a small mole on the left side of your lips. She stated. Kakashi touched his face reflexively. How could she possibly know that? The only people outside my family that knew that were my teammates, Sensei, and his girlfriend, and all of them are dead. You've got a lot of nerve, Kakashi. Minato-kun had a dying wish and you pissed all over it. You're worse than crap. Kushina added. Naruto got up and approached her. Oka-san, calm down. Don't say too much about certain things just yet. Kushina sighed and relaxed, and the women holding her in place released her. Thanks, son. I'm just so angry at his man right now. What the hell did I ever do? Kakashi asked. Kushina glared at him all over again. You made my son's life hell, you son of a bitch. What are you talking about? I've never seen this kid before. And what do you mean he's your son? Did you cheat on Sensei with someone outside the village? Kushina cracked her knuckles. What do you take me for? A tramp? Kakashi-sensei, just who is this woman? Sakura asked. Kushina Uzumaki, the girlfriend of the Yondaime Hokage, presumed dead for 13 years. She was one of our best kunoichi and was considered the only person in the village who could give Yondaime-sama a challenge in a fight. Kakashi explained. His students were impressed, but Sasuke turned his attention to Naruto. This guy caught me off guard earlier. I should see how tough he really is if his mother has that sort of reputation. He pointed at Naruto. Fight me. Naruto blinked. Nah. I said fight me. No thanks. I said fight me. Not interested. Naruto said a little more forcibly this time. Sasuke didn't like this, so he took out a kunai and ran at the blonde with his Sharingan active. Naruto tried to block, but Sasuke dodged and thrust his arm forward, stabbing him near the heart. Naruto Kun. Every teenage girl from Oto shouted as they stood up instantly once they saw the blonde when he took the hit. To their immediate relief, there was no blood, only a puff of smoke that subsided quickly to reveal a couch pillow with a kunai in it. Naruto was now on the couch completely unharmed thanks to the substitution jutsu he used in the nick of time. Thank Kami, I almost had a heart attack just then. Hinata and the others thought to themselves. Haku and Fu were the ones closest to him at the moment, so they reached him first, wrapping their arms around him to reassure themselves he was fine. I'm okay, girls, no need to worry. Sasuke, however, was not okay. He was seething that the blonde he tried to maim got away without a scratch due to a simple jutsu he didn't see coming, and most assuredly wanted to repeat the attack. However, a red-headed woman had other ideas. Before he could advance to try again, her fist connected with his jaw with slightly less force than that of a small cannonball. He went flying out the front door, which was still open. Sasuke Kun. Sakura shouted before rushing out the door to check on him. Damn, you got a good punch. Kiba commented in awe. Kushina didn't look impressed by her feat, not good enough. I still haven't recovered fully yet. Holy shit. She can it that hard and that's not her best? Kiba asked himself. Kakashi looked at Kushina sternly just then. I hope you realize you've just committed a capital offense. Kushina looked back at her husband's student. He tried to kill my son and you expect me to be the repentant one? What the fuck happened to you, Kakashi? That young man there happens to be the last Uchiha in Konoha, and Sensei's girlfriend or not, I will not have you endangering him for the sake of some statusless bastard child. There were few things Kakashi could have said that would have made the former Jinchuriki madder than that. Rather than bother to point out Kakashi's verbal mistakes, she settled for punching him even harder than she did Sasuke. Kakashi, being a little drained from using his Sharingan on the bridge earlier, didn't react as quickly as he wanted to, but he still managed to block her attack. While the Konoha Jounin was briefly occupied, Hinata got up behind him and kicked him in the testicles from behind. "That's for calling my man a statusless bastard child." Kakashi barely heard this as he was too busy clutching himself and falling to his knees. Kiba saw the former Hyuga girl and was instantly smitten by her. Of course he couldn't tell that she was connected to that clan because of her contact lenses, but he could tell she was good-looking and feisty. "Hey there, cutie. There's a party downtown. Wanna get to know one another? It might help relations between our two villages." Of course he had no idea which village she was from, but it sounded like an acceptable excuse to him. Hinata responded by kicking him in the groin as well. "I'm taken, and even if I wasn't, I'm not interested in Leaf Neen." Akamaru barked at her and growled, making her give the puppy a dark look. "You wanna be fixed?" The dog then whimpered and hid outside the house. Sakura re-entered the room with a murderous look towards Kushina. "You hurt Sasuke-kun. Die, bitch." For some weird reason Sakura thought she could be on par with a Jounin-level Nin just then if it was for Sasuke's sake. Too bad Kushina and reality disagreed, for the older Kunoichi just backslapped her away. Sakura wasn't knocked out, but when she tried again Sasami hit her in the back of the neck, which finished the job. "May I ask what's going on here?" Tsunami asked. She had invited them into her home to thank them for defeating Gato, but insisted that there be no fighting in her home. "Sorry about all this. We didn't intend for there to be a fight, but as you saw they started it." Enko explained. "So what do we do about them now?" Fu asked. "Wait, I got an idea. Haku-chan, can you knock them all out first?" Naruto said. "Sure thing, Naruto-kun." The ice wielder said before pulling out some senbon and hitting pressure points in all 4 Konoha shinobi, making them immobile and unconscious. "They won't be going anywhere or hearing anything, so continue. I was told by Subsonic about this Uchiha guy and they said if I ever got the chance to do something to him I should. I don't think I'd ever get a better chance than this." "Subsonic? What did they say?" Enko asked. Subsonic was Oto's hidden agent in Konoha. Jiraiya was really good at spying on Konoha for Oto, but he couldn't be there all the time, so Orochimaru needed another source of info. That source was a spy codenamed Subsonic, who watched Konoha when the Toad Sannin couldn't. The trade-off was that Subsonic couldn't report regularly or often, as opposed to Jiraiya who could report whenever he wanted to. But what Subsonic did report made it worth it. Not much. "You remember hearing that the Uchiha clan was wiped out a few years ago?" Naruto asked, making Enko, Kurenai, and Zabuza nod. "Wiped out?" Kushina asked. "Even Mikoto?" "Yeah. Apparently one of their own went insane and killed the rest to see if he was strong enough to. But we were told one survived, and I'm guessing that guy outside is that one." Naruto answered. Kushina nodded, feeling bad for her deceased friend. "Go on." "Well, Subsonic told me that this last Uchiha was, in their opinion, a royal pain in the ass with no sense of humility whatsoever. The Konoha Council, primarily but not limited to the civilian side, pamper him constantly and he takes it all for granted, like he expects it to happen for no other reason than being born. So Subsonic asked me to take him down a peg or two if I could." Enko smiled. "Nice, but how do you intend to do that?" Naruto looked directly at his surrogate sister. "Well, Subsonic says that the only real reason that the Konoha Council really values him is because he's their one chance at keeping the Sharingan in the village. So what would they do if he lost it?" Enko started laughing lightly, but it erupted into loud bursts. The others followed, but Kushina just looked confused. "What am I missing?" "Just watch, Kushinooka-san," Hinata told her. "Excuse me? Well, I am betrothed to Naruto, so in time you will be my mother-in-law. Hinata explained. Just how close are you to my son? Hinata smiled. I've known him for about 10 years and loved him for about half that time. Although I'm not the only one. I'll tell you more later. Naruto meanwhile stood above the unconscious Sasuke, who had been dragged in by Haku. He then activated his unbloodline Kekkai Genkai, making everyone in the house lose the ability to use their own or any physical characteristics that were associated with a bloodline. He made the tiger, dragon, rabbit, snake, and sheep hand signs before placing his palms on Sasuke's torso. Bloodless Pulse Jutsu. A quick surge of chakra glowed around Sasuke. Then faded. There, that's one part down. What was that, Naruto-kun? Sasami asked. A technique I can only use with this Kekkai Genkai. Naruto answered. The unbloodline's biggest weakness is that once the victim leaves the affected area they get their bloodline back. So I designed a method to make the effect of the unbloodline last longer. Now, with the amount of chakra I used for that jutsu, this guy won't be able to use his Kekkai Genkai for at least 2 months. Maybe 3. Brilliant. Fu said cheerfully. Not done yet. And you all might want to look away for this part. Why? Isaribi asked. Subsonic suggested making this guy sterile too, so Konoha couldn't try to get any sperm samples while he can't use his Kekkai Genkai in hopes of creating some babies that later could use it. Bachan showed me a seal to do that, but it has to go on a specific spot. All the girls nodded slowly in understanding and looked away. Naruto didn't like this part, but for his plan it had to be done. Using the sealing tools Jiraiya had given him, Naruto inscribed a seal on Sasuke's genitals that would make him shoot blanks if he ever orgasmed. It would only last about 3 months, and during that time would remain completely undetectable even if checked for by medic means. Only someone of Jiraiya's skill or someone taught by him like Naruto could succeed in making such a seal, and only someone like them or Tsunade would be able to find such a thing on a person. Done. Now all that's left is the cover-up. Naruto told everyone when it was okay to look again. He also already had his unbloodline deactivated. Cover-up? Hinata asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah. We don't want anyone to know why this happened or how, do we? Good point. So what did you have in mind? I'm open to suggestions. Anyone? Naruto asked. If I may, I've got one kit. Kyubi said. But you'll have to wait until they're all conscious to do it. Ugh, my head. Sasuke moaned as he opened his eyes and tried to sit up. When I get my hands on her. Sakura irritably muttered as she regained consciousness. Oh, I forgot what kind of power Kushina-san had. Kakashi mumbled. Kiba remained silent, with Akamaru returning to check on him. Everyone opened their eyes to see that Naruto was the only person present, standing there with his arms crossed. Sasuke frowned. What do you want? This. He said, then activated his Neo Sharingan and made eye contact with them all. The next thing. They knew, they were blind for a moment. When they regained their vision, they saw their surrounding were tinted red and the shadows looked darker. Each one of them was by themselves, and heard something approach from outside the house. All but Sakura went outside to check it out, who remained by the door to keep an eye and ear out for trouble. Sasuke, Kiba, and Kakashi went out eager to get rid of the problem, and saw Zabuza standing there. For the next 72 hours, you're my bitch. Kakashi and Sasuke, in their own separate encounters, tried to rush at him with intent to kill, only to find their feet stuck in the ground and unable to budge. Kiba and Akamaru were the same, only they had tried to run away instead. For Sakura, Zabuza barged into the house, said the same thing, and her feet sank into the carpet. For all four, chains appeared out of nowhere and bound their hands together, preventing any jutsu use. For Kakashi, Sakura, and Kiba, Zabuza would strike them or pierce them with his sword. The wounds were always small but they bled a lot and were no less painful than expected. They also healed quickly, within 6 seconds. After each strike, Zabuza would count off the remaining time, and no matter how long the strike lasted or the amount of time in between them, the countdown only went down by 1 second each time. For Sasuke however, his treatment was special. Zabuza, who was actually Naruto disguised as part of the Genjutsu, would form a Rasengan and hit various parts of his body at random, with the same countdown method. No body part was left untouched, and with so much time available, each part was struck multiple times. For Team 7, it was a long 72 hours. By the time the Konoha team recovered, the Oto team was back at their campout and Naruto was exhausted. Hinata was helping him stay standing. "Naruto-kun, what exactly did you do back there?" Naruto sat down in between Kushina and Hinata before answering. "Something Kyuubi told me. It's the extreme Tsukuyomi. Technically I shouldn't be able to do it yet, because my Neo Sharingan isn't at the Mangekyo level yet, but with Kyuubi's help I could ignore that." He panted and coughed for a moment then. "The downside is I won't be able to use his chakra for at least a week and my own is going to feel reduced. So I may not be able to get us home as easily as I got us here. That's okay. We still gotta stick around to ensure Gato has no lingering agents, there are no remaining hidden Shinobi, and the bridge gets finished. We can wait until you're better," Enko told him. "Now tell us more about this extreme Tsukuyomi." "Well, like the normal Sharingan's Tsukuyomi, it's a strong genjutsu that alters the victim's perception of time and makes them see or feel something horrible over and over again. But mine makes the victim forget the last 60 seconds beforehand so they never remember how they got caught or who cast it if I time it right. And the central nervous system is disrupted when it ends, making movement difficult, as if the induced injuries linger into reality. I made it so they keep getting attacked by Zabuza-sama repeatedly since they already recognize him and any injury he gives them in a genjutsu is bound to have long-lasting effects here." Kushina placed her arm across his shoulders. "So in essence, you've made it impossible for that kid that tried to murder you to use the very thing that makes him so special, and unable to be of any use to the council, and not only does he and the others have no idea why, but if they try to figure it out the best answer they'd get is a genjutsu involving a rogue nin and they'd all have a similar story if asked." Naruto nodded. "Anything wrong with that?" "Actually, I think it's brilliant," his mother proudly told him. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Support the original author by clicking their profile link in the pinned comment of the first video of this series. They deserve the love. Want early access and exclusive content? Join my Patreon community, link below. Your support fuels these videos. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay entertained, stay safe.